It should be no secret to anyone that social media has massively impacted how we self-identify and how we learn about our own forms of self-expression. And of course, social media opens us up to aesthetics and styles that we may otherwise not have known about. Because obviously, unless you're going to certain fashion districts like Milan or Harajuku, you may not know about emerging fashion styles or trends without the help of social media. However, this inevitably means that these fashion styles can be caught up in the ever-churning trend cycles that you see on social media too. And with the aesthetic of Cutecore really taking hold of social media in 2020, we are now in 2024 with the top hashtag on TikTok for Cutecore having over 330,000 videos under it. Clearly there is a community and desire there that just hasn't died out. Even recently, we've seen fashion brands like Minga London come out with their own versions of a Cutecore collection. With Minga London's collection in particular having a lot of bows, cute aesthetics and characters, but also a very 2024 alternative fashion niche. Although as we'll come to learn and talk about later in the video, the Minga London launch of what Cutecore is a little bit hit and miss. It's definitely not the traditional Cutecore aesthetic, if that's what you want to call it. But to be blunt, is Cutecore a real standalone style or aesthetic? Where did it come from? Why is it so popular? And why do other more established kawaii fashion styles keep it at arm's length? Because believe it or not, for a fashion style with cute in the name, it has some not so cute controversies and issues behind it. But before we even go into these controversies and what Cutecore really is, let's talk about the history behind it and where it first originated from. The name Cutecore has actually existed since the early 2010s, originally existing as a niche subcategory of hardcore music, with the initial meaning of this acronym being cute but hardcore. However, do not Google cute but hardcore because it will not come up with music results, I'm telling you that right now. I learned this the hard way. Now, the music that would originally fall under this Cutecore category would be a mix of hardcore, edgy, almost screamo music, mixed with kawaii lyrics or Japanese sound bites. A more recent piece of music that could fall under this original category of Cutecore would be Monster by Anaria, because although the artists themselves is already well established in pre-existing kawaii fashion spaces, their music would definitely categorize as Cutecore when it comes to the lyrics. The dark and at times violent lyrics mixed with the feminine bouncy vocals and sometimes references to cute Harajuku fashion, in my mind definitely falls under the original categorization of Cutecore. This is a certified Cutecore banger. Also, maybe it's just me, but I definitely feel like some original scene and emo artists would also be super popular for Cutecore music. Let's just pretend for a minute that Blow on the Dance Floor did not have a kiddie creep headlining it. Ew! I definitely feel like Scream for My Ice Cream or Bewitched would definitely also be a Cutecore banger. I can definitely picture it being added to Hello Kitty edits or these Cutecore edits back in 2020. Like if Davi Vanity wasn't a deplorable person, I definitely feel like Bewitched would make a Halloween comeback every year. Also, Cutecore actually emerging in the early 2010s makes a lot of sense to me because of the existence of emo and scene culture. Kind of like Nightcore, it's definitely a byproduct of these very popular fashion styles here in the West taking hold. Although in 2020, the style of music that can fall under Cutecore is definitely more moe coded. Think of cute anime OPs or cute slice of life shows. Instead of necessarily wanting to scream your lungs out in a cute way, we're now looking at music that makes you feel like you're living in an anime. You best believe that if a Japanese girl is singing about cake or having fun with her friends, it's on a Cutecore edit. Now, speaking of TikTok, if you were on it in 2020, it was nearly impossible to avoid seeing people trying out alternative fashion. We're talking demonias, we're talking floppy bunny hats, we're talking thick eyeliner. Everyone from teens to taxpayers was having fun experimenting with their fashion. It was a teething period for a lot of people to get into alternative fashion without having to risk the judgment of the outside world. You were able to exist in this online bubble where other people who were interested in the same things as you could support you. And personally, I loved 2020 alternative fashion. It was a very important time for many young people to discover alternative fashion in a judgmental-free way. As somebody who has always been into alternative fashion, I am lucky that I've never felt too embarrassed about going outside dressing the way that I do. But I know for a lot of people that fear of judgment from others is something that can really hold them back when it comes to self-expression. And so again, 2020 TikTok was a great way of existing in a vacuum where people were just being supportive. For the first time in many fashion trend cycles, being alternative was seen as being cool, even if it was kind of short-lived. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where we talk about Cutecore itself, or at least Cutecore as we know it today. As allegedly in 2020, a Tumblr user that went by the name VoidChan first came up with the concept of Cutecore as we know it today. They repopularized it and set the new visual standard for people to live up to. They originally did this by sharing videos and photos of their bedroom, which was adorned in tons of kawaii merchandise and memorabilia. But in contrast to that cute merchandise, they also had horror media on display too. So for example, you might have a pink TV set set, but on that TV set is Silent Hill. Another very popular image by the user VoidChan is this Sanrio bedspread with edited on bloody handprints. And these posts eventually extended to them taking selfies and doing outfit photos, all of which had a very heavy East Asian aesthetic influence and kawaii influence, but also blended in dark horror elements or edgy aesthetics. And as you can imagine, this aesthetic piqued the interest of many netizens who already had an interest in kawaii fashion but didn't know where to start looking or what to call it. And like with anything that gains internet popularity, more and more things were put under the umbrella of what could qualify as cutecore. So let's first talk about the aesthetic and visual elements of Cutecore. So a very noticeable element that you'll come across in the Cutecore aesthetic is the presence of kawaii mascots or cute moe anime characters. Now we all know it's impossible to escape the cult of Hello Kitty, even average suburban mums really love Sanrio. However, it isn't just Hello Kitty and friends that Cutecore girlies like to have in their edits and visual imagery, because outside the commonly known characters that you would expect to see, they have a bunch of others that you may not have heard of. Some characters that get regular visibility within Cutecore are the Sugar Bunnies, who are a subset of Sanrio characters that unfortunately don't have a lot of recent merch and as such have skyrocketed when it comes to their resale value. Mamagoma, who again was another popular character in the 2000s to early 2010s, but sadly he kind of dropped off the face of popularity in recent years, and as such a lot of the merchandise available for him is older. You've got Willakuma, who is a more recent and still very current and popular character who also has a crew of friends with equal popularity. Kurilakuma, I would argue, is more popular with the Cutecore girlies just due to her pastel color scheme. We have Kuchipachi and Mamichi from the Tamagotchi series, which has also recently had a bit of a renaissance. But within the Tamagotchi universe and Tamagotchi fandom, these are two very popular characters that consistently get new merchandise. And Gloomy Bear, who's also had his own renaissance with new merchandise consistently being produced and even a Game of Subs flavor. Also, the Game of Subs flavor is really, really good. It kind of tastes like Ribena. Use code Addy for 10% off your Game of Subs order. But needless to say, if a character is cute, retro, or very aesthetically pleasing, you can bet your bottom dollar it will end up in a Cutecore edit. And speaking of cute characters from Japan, another really big element of the Cutecore aesthetic is anime media. And I really cannot give you a big enough description of how many anime characters there are within the Cutecore aesthetic realm. Everything from musical characters to game characters to anime characters, there really is no end to who can be a target for the Cutecore edits. Now, although it would take me all day to try and comprehensively tackle every single piece of anime media that is relevant to Cutecore, I will touch on some of the more relevant ones just because they are pretty important with the overall context of Cutecore. So a cluster of some of the popular characters that you'll see within Cutecore actually all come from the same company, this company being Nitro Plus. And for those who are unfamiliar with Nitro Plus are a game and anime media studio, popular for some of their visual novel titles as well as their eroge characters. And so a couple of the Nitro Plus characters that you'll regularly see within Cutecore can include Super Sonico and Super Pachako, who are both eroge fetish mascots for Nitro Plus, Miyuki from Toteno, as well as Aoi from Toteno, who is also lovingly referred to as Pinterest-chan, and Seiya from Seiya no Uta, with all of these characters being at least softcore in nature, if not entirely 18 plus due to the source material that they come from. Now, this trend of edo kawaii media within Cutecore is in itself not an issue. However, we're going to pop a pin in this just because we're going to come back to this topic later with some more context. However, outside of the more edo kawaii adult nature of Nitro Plus, there are other popular anime characters that make their way into Cutecore, most of which come from more denpa, melancholic, or otaku-based anime media. Bocchi the Rock, Tomoko from Watamote, Konata from Lucky Star, Moe-tan from Moe-tan, the DDLC girlies, Japanese PlayStation classic Dokodemo Isayo, and of course many, many others, with again a lot of these entries into the Cutecore aesthetic having a darker or more depressing element to them, with Tomoko, for example, being an otaku shut-in that is physically incapable of having a normal interaction with other people. Tomoko really did walk so Komi could run. And like I mentioned earlier, there is also a mix of horror media such as Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, Siren, Saw, and even bands like Cannibal Corpse or Slipknot mixed in, all of which being a direct juxtaposition to the sickly sweet imagery of the anime and cute mascot characters. Now, there is an argument that these darker elements are actually not part of Cutecore itself, but part of a subcategory category of Cutecore called Cutecore. However, from what we've already learned about Cutecore, this just kind of feels like an unnecessary recategorization or subcategorization of pre-existing elements that make up this existing style. Like, Cutecore itself is kind of just what Cutecore originally was. And now that we have finally covered the visual aestheticization of Cutecore, we can go into what actually makes up a Cutecore outfit, taking this from an internet aesthetic to being a wearable day-to-day fashion. Now, when it comes to the makeup style for Cutecore, there are some consistencies. Typically, the makeup is of East Asian influence with the desire to enlarge and dollify your eyes. This can be done with thick eyeliner, big eyelashes, and also the use of dark colored contact lenses or circle lenses. Also highlighting underneath the eye in order to cause an enlarging effect by drawing attention to the tear bag, also known as the aguiosel. Now, another very common practice when it comes to Cutecore makeup is over contouring the nose, making the nose look more slim while also naturally lifting up the tip of the nose to give a more pixie petite appearance. Basically a classic e-girl nose. They'll also add blush quite high up on the apples of their cheeks to give a flushed, almost sickly look, as well as highlighting in the corner of their eyes, the tip of their nose, and sometimes the bridge of their lip. It is pretty reminiscent of the popular e-girl makeup, which in itself has a lot of East Asian influence. Now, moving on to the outfit, we have a lot to discuss. Now, although there are no technical rules, there are a lot of consistencies when it comes to popular brands, colors, patterns, and layering techniques. Colors are typically a mix of bright and pastels, and you'll usually see cute patterns, frilly layered skirts, leg warmers layered over patterned tights and knee socks, and of course a chunky platform boot, with brands like Demonia and New Rock being the most popular. And when it comes to brand names, Cutecore girlies have their favorites, with Japanese kids brands like Angel Blue, Mezzo Piano, and Daisy Lovers being amongst the most popular. However, again, depending on the wearer, you might also see t-shirts such as a Cannibal Corpse band tee, 9 Inch Nails, Slipknot, or horror movie t-shirts also being incorporated into a Cutecore outfit. And now it is time to get to the tea and talk about the controversies and issues with Cutecore. Now, I actually asked you guys over on Instagram to give me your thoughts on the Cutecore aesthetic, so I'll be sharing some of those on screen whilst I talk about these issues. But needless to say, this is not just coming from my opinion, it's also coming from a lot of people's personal experience. So let's get straight into it. So if you were on Kawaii TikTok in 2021, there is a good chance you came across a certain discourse. This discourse being discussing about cultural appreciation versus appropriation and who cannot enjoy Kawaii fashion or subcultures. This discussion heavily centering around the use of Asian fishing or East Asian baiting. Asian fishing or East Asian baiting basically being the practice of a non-Asian person trying to emulate the behaviors, features, and stereotypical ideals of an East Asian person. With one of the biggest issues about this practice being the use and fetishization of the East Asian schoolgirl aesthetic, all of which is inevitably harmful to Asian women. When it came to Asian fishing on the internet, it also meant that a lot of Asian women were getting given shit because people thought they were Asian fishing when they were just Asian. It was a whole mess. People were struggling to understand whether or not they could enjoy kawaii fashion or anime or pop culture, and due to this specific treatment of one black cosplayer, this ended up reaching Japanese news outlets. This ended up becoming such big news that kawaii influencers like Kuribayashi actually spoke out on it.
Today, I have something important to tell you guys. It's about kawaii culture, including Harajuku fashion, which I love a lot. Few weeks ago, a non-Japanese girl who likes kawaii culture posted a cosplay video on TikTok. People said this to her: "You mustn't use the word kawaii. You are not Asian. Kawaii is a slur." She was flamed on TikTok with a lot of cool comments just for dressing up kawaii and using the tag. What was it that TikTok banned her account after people fake reported her for inappropriate content? I'm afraid she had a dreadful experience. If you are watching this, please don't be sad, and please don't be too hard on yourself. Stay just the way you are. I'm on your side. Anyone can use kawaii.
This poor cosplayer ended up getting the brunt of it so badly, they ended up leaving TikTok permanently after having their account removed. Even in 2024, we have a massive issue when it comes to racism and colorism within the cosplay and kawaii fashion space. The common argument being that it just looks better on paler skin, which is just disgusting and insane. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to interject because I remembered this happening so vividly, and it's still an issue that's happening now, so please don't think that it's gone away. This is also a topic that is relevant to Cutecore as well. So how did Cutecore get involved in this discourse? Now, if you're watching this video with any semblance of knowledge about kawaii fashion or kawaii styles, you may be sitting there and thinking, Addy, all of this Cutecore aesthetic is basically just borrowed. And not gonna lie, you'd pretty much be entirely correct. Pretty much the entire aesthetic of Cutecore already exists spread between a bunch of different pre-established kawaii fashion styles, with some of the main ones being styles like Joji Fuku, which is a style pretty much entirely based around dressing like a young child, like a young girl, wearing items from your childhood or enjoying characters from your childhood that bring you joy. Basically the reverse of how you used to dress up in your parents' clothing. Instead of wearing your mum's high heels, you're wearing your sneakers from when you were 10. Joji Fuku in itself is a controversial style, but I'm not going to touch on that today, but needless to say, its connection to childhood items is relevant within the story of Cutecore and also in the reason why some people are uncomfortable with it. Another style that Cutecore directly takes from is Guro Kawaii or Guro Kawa, a creepy cute style that blends a mix of cute whimsical elements with dark gory aesthetics. A very popular Guro Kawaii character is Gloomy Bear. Common themes that you'll see within Guro Kawaii or Guro Kawa can include organs and body parts, medical imagery or blood, and also fantasistical monster elements. And of course Decora, with Decora being a style where you layer loads and loads of stuff that you like on top of each other. Typically Decora is very colourful and usually includes a bunch of hair clips, loads of layers of t-shirts, skirts, jewellery, leg warmers. Decora is all about having fun with things that you like and things that you want to wear. And so really there is no originality to Cutecore's existence. It borrows a lot from those aforementioned styles as well as many others. It is arguably just generic kawaii fashion. And for a lot of people, they feel like having Cutecore as a defined aesthetic is just a whitewashed version of pre-established fashion styles, removing the origins and identity of these pre-established fashion styles in favor for a easier accessible Western alternative. But sadly, this is only the start of the issues when it comes to Cutecore. Arguably, this is the least important issue when it comes to Cutecore, because unfortunately the community around Cutecore has fostered a pretty toxic atmosphere for a lot of people. Now, being into any alternative fashion style or kawaii fashion style is not cheap, and Cutecore is no exception to the rule. This is a fashion and aesthetic based around maximalism, something which I admittedly know too well. Whether it is stacking your room sky high with cute anime collectibles, or just hanging up wall scrolls of your favorite characters, some of which are sometimes suspiciously young, this is a fashion style that fosters a quality of life to go with it. And like I said before, this lifestyle and fashion is not cheap, especially as the community itself has a massive issue when it comes to price hiking and reselling. For example, so the brand Mezzo Piano can typically be found online for around 10 to 20 pounds in used condition from Japan. However, resellers here in the UK and the US can take a piece of extra small Mezzo Piano clothing and price hike it up to 60 pounds or more, meaning that a brand originally designed for Japanese children is now being priced on par with more luxury fashion items. And this organically creates a capitalistic hierarchy where the more you buy, the better you are perceived when it comes to the Cutecore fashion. And so for many people who can't afford to spunk 60 pounds on a single item of children's clothing, the alternative comes in the form of big fast fashion hauls. Because for that same 60 quid, you can get multiple items of clothing, accessories, and collectibles to put into your room and wear. It doesn't matter if the bootleg figurine that you bought from AliExpress has a wonky paint job and feels sticky to the touch, or that the t-shirt that you got for £8 has a couple of loose threads or dropped stitches, because at the end of the day, you get to join in with the other cute girls doing cute fashion hauls, and you get to deck out your room with all the cute accessories that everybody else has. You get to feel included. And it is very easy to feel left behind when you're constantly seeing content creators buying new items or having items in their background that you could only wish to buy, especially in a niche where you know the collectibles and clothing that they own is very expensive. I'll be the first one to admit that I am a consumer girl in a consumerist world. My office is an ode to capitalism in many ways. Some of my best performing videos on TikTok are figure unboxings. However, I am an adult taxpayer. I have been collecting for over a decade and been wearing kawaii fashion for over a decade. And of course, like any good shopper, you also learn how to find good deals, how to shop secondhand, and the best places to buy. But when you watch my content, you don't get to see all of that effort and all of that time that I've been a collector. All you see is the end product. But because social media exists to be a quick gratification environment, we often forget how long it can take for all of these things to build up over time. And so we pressurize ourselves to accumulate loads and loads of stuff super quickly. And Cutecore is a victim of this. And as a general, I don't think it's a crime to want to have nice things, especially when you're young. Buying a few bits here and there from AliExpress is not the worst thing in the world. A lot of proper businesses operate on AliExpress. Doki Doki Cosplay, for example, have a storefront there as well as Portmart. And of course, I get that when you're on a limited budget, these are some of the only places that you feel and know you can buy stuff cheap. I myself as a young person had to go through the process of explaining how to buy items from Japan to parents who just wanted to stick to eBay. For many young people, Shein, Romwe, and AliExpress is their first proper exposure to a kawaii fashion market. But the issue really stems from how much you end up consuming. Because for anyone, especially when you're young, shopping can be a slippery slope. And of course, when it comes to fast fashion, it has real-world ramifications on not just the workers, but also your health. Now, I think we're all aware in this day and age that big fast fashion companies like Shein and Romwe are inherently harmful. We saw the terrible influencer brand trip that blew up in everybody's face, and we have seen documentaries such as Dispatches going into the working conditions of the factories. However, some people don't know how far the rabbit hole goes when it comes to fast fashion and art theft, something which is a rampant issue in the kawaii and alternative fashion space. Now, a small UK independent business that I follow called Euphoria Project was a victim of art theft by Romwe. They had their Eve t-shirt design stolen by Romwe before they had even launched it themselves. And as you can tell, the design is exactly the same. It is a blatant copy and ripoff of Euphoria Project's design. Whilst the original t-shirt is a heavy, high-quality cotton, the Romwe copy is 95% polyester with 5% elastane. And as you can imagine, people who are just shopping casually on Romwe do not know that it is stolen art. It is part of thousands of new clothing drops that take place every single day on the platform. They have no way of knowing that it's stolen, let alone knowing where to look for the original brand, especially when the brand is so small. And so naively, they buy this product excited to receive their new t-shirt at the cost of a small business. I will let Euphoria Project explain it themselves, but they basically had to sit back and watch people on TikTok lives and on TikTok wear their stolen artwork. They themselves were accused of stealing. And with over 100 sales, you can only imagine how much money they must have lost from that stolen artwork.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it probably, it's probably hurt quite a bit. The fact that when I started posting on TikTok, people were commenting, I thought were trolls at the time, people were commenting saying this is a Shein design. This is a Shein design, Rory did this, stuff like that. And I just kind of ignored it at first because, it's TikTok. So I didn't really give it much notice until I had about 5 members message me with like pictures and screenshots saying, I think they've stole your design. I've seen an ad. I was gobsmacked because I was just starting to promote the Eve design, and obviously they dropped it. I got it done in March, I think. So, and they dropped in, I think, a month or 2 after that. And I've constantly noticed more, like, it's getting to a point where I'm scrolling through Instagram or TikTok and I'm seeing people on live with that t-shirt on. And then I've typed it in the chat and stuff like that, but sometimes when streamers, they don't actually they see every chat that goes through. So, there's only so much I can do. But like, awareness is, obviously we've been outnumbered. Obviously Shein probably putting tens of thousands of ads and get in front of loads of people all day, every day. I've had the ads once I've, clicked on it. So I'm seeing ads for my own t-shirt rip, and they're selling it for £8, and they don't even have the back print. I think it's all 100% polyester. I think even the pictures, they make it look like a huge print like mine, but when you look at the customer reviews, they're like little tiny, really bad quality prints. Yeah, I understand it's a higher price point. Not everybody can afford it, which is fine. But my whole point of the Euphoria Project is to bring costs down on really high quality stuff. Struggled finding clothes that are actually either like the design for or like the fit. It was either one or the other. I never ever had anything that I loved the fit on and loved the design. So, and I obviously want that quality where you kind of want to look after it rather than just throwing it in the wash and, like what you would do with a Shein, you'd wear it once and then you'd probably just wear it for bed kind of thing. I don't want that. I wanted, bring confidence into you so you can go out for dinner, you can go on nights out, you can do whatever you want, and still feel great and, for a good price point. Because I know a lot of quality, people have been saying that people are buying stuff at this quality for like 120, 160 pounds even. I wouldn't say I was there yet, but we can only get better over time. So,
and unfortunately, Euphoria's experience is not uncommon. Many small alternative and kawaii fashion brands have had to sit back and watch as Shein and Romwe have blatantly ripped off their work. Like, we're talking countless times. Because of course, big corporations that produce thousands of new clothing designs every single day will cotton on to fashion trends such as alternative fashion trends. A couple of other alternative and kawaii fashion brands that have experienced this recently include Cutecore content creator Cybergirl's brand Candy Trap ended up having multiple items stolen by Romwe. And as you can imagine, she is a small business. She is the head of her business. Even famous Yami Kawaii icon Menhera-chan had their designs stolen, with their Kandai Syrup exclusive design t-shirt being blatantly ripped off by Romwe. At best, fast fashion art theft only harms small businesses in the short term, but the worst case is that it causes the closure and erasure of existing small businesses because they can't compete with fast fashion. Fast fashion is quickly changing the landscape of what it means to be a fashion designer or an artist. Not to mention the potential harm to customers when it comes to consuming fast fashion, because every year we're seeing more and more studies coming out testing the chemicals in our clothing. An article from August 14th this year discusses Korean authorities looking into the high levels of toxic chemicals and carcinogens in popular fast fashion brands. They tested 144 pieces of clothing from popular fast fashion sellers such as AliExpress, Shein, and Romwe, with multiple of these items not being up to safety regulation standards. It's easy to forget, but our skin is our biggest organ, and so it shouldn't be surprising that what we put on it over time could potentially harm us. We certainly shouldn't be normalizing the consumption of fast fashion the way that we're doing. And again, don't get me wrong, that one t-shirt you bought from AliExpress back in 2020 is very likely not going to cause you any harm. However, the more of these items that you add to your body, the bigger the risk could be. You could develop an allergy over time, causing hives or skin blisters. It could potentially damage the health of your skin. Like again, fast fashion is fairly inescapable, but just consume safely. Now it's time to cover the Cutecore mean girls. Some of the triggering topics that we'll be covering includes fat phobia, body shaming, ED culture, self-harm, abuse, trauma, and honestly, just horrible shit. And so if that is something that you might struggle with, I recommend that you switch off or skip to the timestamp on screen. So you know how we mentioned that a lot of the popular Cutecore brands are typically Japanese kids clothing brands? Well, this leads us into one of the first issues within the Cutecore space and community. This pressure to at times fit into incredibly small Japanese sizes or even kids clothing. Mezzo Piano, Daisy Lovers, and Angel Blue are all designed to fit Japanese children. And as such, their sizing typically stops at around 150, which is the UK equivalent of an extra small to a size small at most. Now, most tweens wouldn't even fit into this sizing, let alone teenagers or adults. And not fitting into these clothes isn't a case of diet or exercise, it really is down to body structure and also the effects of puberty on your body. There are people who are naturally petite enough to fit into these clothes. I am friends with quite a few of them, but it is uncommon. However, despite the fact that most people cannot fit into these sizes, it's a weird beauty standard that has been set in the Cutecore community to fit into very tiny clothing. You're expected to squeeze into clothes comfortably that are made for children. And so for the many people who do not fit into this restrictive sizing, there have been incidents of bullying or encouraging of losing weight. And this can and has included posting pictures of minors as fatspo in eating disorder communities. The glamorization of ED and diet culture has permeated the Cutecore community since its initial boom in popularity, giving young people issues with their bodies that they otherwise may not have had. It should be common sense that you will no longer fit into child sizing when you are no longer a child. In fact, it's far more common to not fit into this clothing than it is to fit into it. Because again, this sizing isn't even just about your diet or exercise, you could just simply have a bone structure that is too broad for these clothes. And again, that's totally normal. It's totally healthy to have your hips, your shoulders, and your body widen as you age. However, on the internet, it is very easy to echo chamber yourself into thinking that you are the problem and not the clothes. When every single content creator that you look up to is so much smaller than you, it can make you feel insignificant. As somebody who has never been an extra small, even as a young child, I do very much understand how it feels to see other people wearing clothes that you know would never fit you the same way it does them. It absolutely does make you feel insecure and make you feel like the problem is you. And as a young person, if the only representation in a fashion that you love looks nothing like you, it's going to knock your confidence. You're going to wonder what you can do to change yourself to suit what they are like. And alongside the pressure to stay skinny and petite, there is also a subsect of the community that pushes other toxic and harmful behaviors. Now, because Cutecore can and does have darker elements and themes to it, this can bring out a darker form of behavior from some of its members. People who will glorify things like self-harm, eating disorders, will engage in grooming or predatory behavior, and in some cases, abuse. Unfortunately, cutecore girlies kind of have a reputation for being cute on the outside, but rotten on the inside. It kind of builds up this hierarchy within the community based on how on brand and on theme you are with being cutecore, not just in your visual aesthetic, but also in your lifestyle. With a lot of popular creators in this space having very visible, fresh, or still healing self-harm, being on the skinnier or very skinny side, appealing to Eurocentric beauty standards of whiteness, and also making dark jokes about abuse, mental health, or just dark themes. Now, I love a bit of dark humor. I am not a hypersensitive pillar of morality, but there is a difference between existing as somebody with these issues and actively trying to promote it to other people, especially online. Now, the existence of self-harm scars is absolutely nothing to feel ashamed over or be shamed over. However, the term self-harm scars implies that these wounds are healed, and the difference between showing scars which have healed and fresh or still healing wounds on visible display is that one can be a very obvious visual trigger. Now, yes, some people do find healed scars triggering, but it's your body and it's just the way it is. But visible wounds are another story, especially when there is no warning beforehand or any way of covering them up. And unfortunately, with some of these creators who are obviously struggling, there is an element of glorification. There is an element of competitiveness with what they're doing. I'm not going to point to any creators in particular because, again, self-harm is a symptom of mental health issues and I'm not here to shame. But again, having visible scars is different than having visible wounds. And what many people have on display are wounds. Self-harm behavior or eating disorder behavior does foster a competitive atmosphere when posted online. It can be a performative action. And so when you have online spaces that are dedicated to body checking, to sharing your self-harm or your weight loss, it can unfortunately open you up to potential predators who are also in these spaces. Because realistically, on paper, communities and online spaces that encourage body checking, weight loss, and sharing of sensitive material such as self-harm is a perfect hunting ground for predators. Again, this whole discussion is a topic for another video, but I thought I'd touch on it a little bit here. Now, one big creator who was popular with the edgier cutecore enjoyers is somebody called Meowba. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to give Meowba too much attention because they really just want attention. Like, that's obviously all they want. But Meowba is a rage bait anime content creator. They have made countless offensive videos and pieces of media, with one of the most abhorrent pieces of media that Meowba has produced being a drawing of the OC having unconsensual relationships with the deceased YouTuber Technoblade. They put this as a paywalled exclusive for subscribers, and it is as bad as you imagine. And they also made a live action video of the person assumably behind Meowba also grinding on a Technoblade plushie. Again, Technoblade had recently died. Meowba's content has the facade of cuteness, with the OC being a young schoolgirl-aged cat girl in a pink seifuku. Their content only exists to offend and farm views. And I'm surprised that people are still giving them attention, to be honest. As we saw with a generation of children who grew up with content like iDubbbz or Leafy is Here, young people and teens will absorb what they watch. They will emulate it in their personal lives and on their social media, normalizing the intolerance and spitefulness that it breeds. For whatever reason, being a shitty, edgy person is seen as a good character trait. And so when you combine this edgy, dark, and offensive humor with a community of people who are vulnerable and are also experiencing their own issues, it is a recipe for disaster. This undercurrent of insecurity that you fill with offensive humor and self-deprecation. I also feel it's important to touch on one more pattern of behavior that I have noticed within this space, and clearly, as I'll be showing on screen, I'm not the only one. With this issue being an integration of concerning, questionable anime media. Now, do you remember when I said put a pin in the animes that you commonly see for cutecore girlies? Yeah, take that pin out because we're discussing it. So within cutecore, you will see a lot of edo kawaii media as well as lolicon. Now, edo kawaii in itself is not necessarily an issue. There is a lot of edo kawaii media that does not rely on the ambiguity of age. Characters like Supersonico, for example, are absolutely within the edo kawaii category, but are also canonically adults. And of course, if you're an adult enjoying adult edo kawaii media, there's also nothing wrong with it. However, some edo kawaii merchandise, collectibles, and media falls under the category of lolicon. Lolicon is something that a lot of Guna anime consumers go feral for. The representation of these young anime girls having an awareness of sexual behavior, having some weird implied sexual appeal, or just having an interest in engaging in that behavior whether they know it or not is repellent. And so when you take an aesthetic and fashion style that is already imbued with childlike elements such as cute characters or quite literally children's clothing and add lolicon to the mixture, it is not a good combination. You inevitably end up with hormonal and vulnerable young teenagers who can imprint and see themselves in these characters. Because hey, I'm a 14-year-old girl that enjoys anime and wears cute clothes and doesn't like to go outside. Introducing lolicon to teenagers or tweens or kids is just really, it's just not the vibe. It's not necessary. And so this results in many teenagers or young people posting content of themselves in suggestive poses, infantilizing themselves online and in their personal relationships. And a lot of the time they don't realize that what they're doing is inappropriate. The amount of young people I have seen on certain social media platforms that have the username of IRL lolly and things along those lines is actually a little scary. And again, that's not just exclusively within Cutecore. I feel like unfortunately a lot of kawaii fashion aesthetics can draw that attention. However, Cutecore seems to be a style and aesthetic that actively normalizes it. Lolicon is seen as standard practice. But again, teenagers and young people absorb things in a different way than you do as an adult. And as I said earlier, it just makes the spaces where this fashion exists that much more unsafe. It can allow the misuse of content made by minors to be spread and circulated in unsavory places, as well as giving bad people the opportunity to manipulate vulnerable people. And that is a problem. Now, with all that doom and gloom, do I feel like Cutecore should be condemned? No, I don't think so, no. Now, realistically, Cutecore needn't exist. It is already present in many other kawaii and J fashion styles. However, I do understand that for a lot of young people, it is their first inroad into those fashion styles. It is their first gateway into learning about kawaii pop culture and fashion and anime. It can help them discover people who like the same things. It can also help them understand what they want to dress like and how they can achieve it. Cutecore really is just borrowed bits from multiple kawaii fashion styles, but the community and space it's fostered is very real, and the people within it are also very real. My personal hope for Cutecore is that it is a gateway into loving Harajuku fashion, and I obviously don't think that the majority of this community is out here with bad intentions. I'm sure there are a lot of absolutely wonderful people within this space, and as we've learned, Cutecore definitely has an abundance of its own issues that it needs to iron out. I do like to think that most people that get into Cutecore don't stay there long enough to be deeply affected by it. Now, if you did enjoy this Yap Fest, please subscribe because I'm already working on the next video. But if you can't wait till then, I also have a TikTok page where I yap incessantly. So if you want to see me talk about more topics in easy to digest mini videos, I suggest checking me out over there. And of course, let me know down below your thoughts on Cutecore. Are you part of this community? Do you know about this aesthetic? And have you had any positive or negative experiences with this community? Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time. Okay, here is a little outfit check for the end of the video. All of these clothes were borrowed from my friend Kira to kind of match the Cutecore aesthetic of the video. This is not my usual style, but actually, you know what? I think I look kind of cute in it. Top is apparently from the brand Ponette. I got this plastic charm necklace years ago off of Depop. I honestly can't remember where I got this Furby necklace from. I'm gonna be real with you, but it's super, super cute. And then all of the candy on my wrist I got originally from Etsy way back in the day. Like, I think I've had these pastel bracelets since I was a teenager in college, so that must have been at least like 2014 to 2016 I've had these bracelets.